What's going on, everybody? If you're watching this, I want to give you my thanks. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So, like I always say, this is my video series where I go over, 5 horror movies that I think are underappreciated, underwatched, and undervalued. And I hate overcomplicating things that are very simple. So I'm not going to sit here and overtalk it. I'm not going to act like it's more complicated than what it needs to be. We're going to go right into it. We'll talk about these movies and why I love them, why I think they should be seen, why I think they should be more fans of them. So the first movie I have here is a movie by Scott Derrickson. I'm hoping I have his name correct. Um, and of course, it's not um, obviously printed on the case. So, there goes that is up here. Of course, I believe Scott Derrickson. If I'm mistaken, forgive me. But the director of uh, Exorcism Emily Rose, the director of Sinister, the director of Seven. I mean, he's made. Oh, not Seven. Seven was uh who did Seven? David Fincher. So not Seven, excuse me. But the Exorcism Emily Rose and Sinister. Black Phone. That's the one. So the guy who did those films, he directed another film. It's kind of one of his lesser known projects, and one that I really enjoy. And apparently, this film came from a book written by an ex NYPD sergeant who recounted some paranormal, also cases with paranormal, um, I guess, paranormal just activity that occurred while he investigated them. And this is one of the cases that he specifically um, was a part of. So, in that film is Deliver Us from Evil. And what I love about this film is just how, I love horror and, crime or horror and noir or horror and detectives. That's just a mix it does it for me. And this film is wonderful. And essentially, it is this ex, um, I think ex Army Marine. I'm not sure what branch of the military he was in, but during his service in the Middle East, came across this cave, I think, where it was covered in esoteric and occultish, occult symbols and ancient language that they weren't really familiar with, and he wound up getting possessed. And it's a story about how this detective essentially, he and his partner, try to figure out the series of crimes. And this guy um, a vet, and what's causing him to commit these crimes. And it's just a really well done movie. The ending's a little hokey. Maybe that's not the right word. It's a little over the top, but it's still a really good movie. I mean, um, just from beginning to end, it's just the chemistry between the detective and the partner, the them slowly coming across, like figuring out and coming to the determination of that this is beyond conventional, um, just a conventional um, crime. This is something more to it, and then come that realization. Like I said, the ending's a little. It's not bad. It's just a little kind of. It kind of same thing I have with the Serpent and the Rainbow. Great movie, but the ending just a little bit um, over the top. But still a good movie. So yeah, The Rest of Evil. I can't recommend it enough. That's what I thought. 'Cause on the front, um, it describes it as The Exorcist meets Seven, which I, I understand why they use The Exorcist because it's the most well known possession film. Seven, I can see the comparison. The Exorcist, not really. Um, if you wanted it to do like a possession or a horror film that this is related to, the first Power will probably be more, but not many people know that film, so maybe that's why they didn't use it. But anyway, really good movie, well worth a watch. One of easily Scott Derrickson's most underrated film. Next movie, well, we'll just show it. American Werewolf in Paris. I can't sit here and say that's a good movie. I can't. Especially if you compare it to American Werewolf in London. This just isn't as good as that. Not even remotely. But this movie's very nostalgic for me. I'm gonna watch this when I was very young. What can I say about this movie? One, the chemistry between the lead, um, Tom Everett Scott, and the lead actor and lead actress, Julie Delpy. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but their chemistry, I think, is really good. I think they're really good chemistry. The design of the werewolves in this movie is late 90s, early 2000s CGI, so it leaves a lot to be desired. But there's some really cool instances, including one like a nightclub. Um, that's really just gnarly and badass. And it's definitely a people say American Werewolf in London is a horror comedy. I would argue that it's a horror film with some comedic elements. This is much more of a horror comedy to me. I feel like this has more comedy in it than American Werewolf in London. Um, and is the chemistry between the leads as strong as that film? No, nothing in this film is as good as American Werewolf in London, but it's still a fun, just what it lacks in maybe I would say the technical side or the story, it makes up in its charm and it makes up in its just at times having some, like I said, this one scene in particular in like this nightclub where everyone gets locked in and werewolves just start tearing them apart. Like that's so cool. And so there's definitely things in here that I enjoy, things in here I think are fun, things in here I think are worth watching. And like I said, I would not say this is necessarily a good movie, at least not in the same sense that American Werewolf in London or even like The Howling is, but it's a fun movie and it's well worth a watch. It's a fun werewolf film, and especially if you're my age, from the early, you grew up during the late '90s. Um, not born then, born in like the early 90s, late 80s, but if you were, preteen, teenager during the late 90s, early 2000s, and you were a horror fan like I was, and you either missed it or maybe you saw it once and haven't seen it since, watch it again. It's fun. It'll bring back some good memories. Just don't go into it thinking, oh man, this is going to be just like American Werewolf in London. It's nothing like that. It's not as good, but it's fun, and for that alone, it's worth seeing. So yeah, American Werewolf in Paris. Next, God, this is a good movie. So we go for a movie that's more fun than it is good. This movie is just good. It's great. That's a Changeling. George C. Scott is, I mean, he's a god amongst men. So, um, essentially in the film, George C. Scott suffers a tragic loss. His wife and daughter are killed, and this happens within the first, not even 5 minutes, really the first 3 minutes of the film. 2, 3 minutes. I mean, it happens right away. He moves in this older, kind of Victorian style home. This like um, older, older place, and if I remember correctly, he's a pianist or he's a type of artist. Um, yeah, but odd, disturbing things keep happening, including this banging sound, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, why this is happening, what's occurring that that's causing these strange happenings to occur, and then finally he figures out this paranormal, including a seance sequence that's really like, I mean, one of the more chilling seance sequences I've ever seen. And he's amazing throughout the entire film, just trying to piece this together and figure it out. And when he does, it's to me one thing I got from the biggest thing I got from it was the juxtaposition of George C. Scott's character, who's his grieving father, who would do anything to have his wife, but especially his daughter back, and no matter what condition she was in, just to hug her, love her, and hold her one more time. And then you see, I don't want to spoil it, but you see someone kill a child. I won't go any further than that. That's enough of a spoiler as it is, but you see someone kill their child. They put it that way. And it's like what he wouldn't give to have his child back one more time. So, this is a really good movie. I mean, The Changeling is a classic. If you haven't seen it, I mean, go see it as soon as you can. Masterpiece. One of the best haunted house slash ghost slash paranormal investigative movies I've ever seen. This is a masterpiece. Um, of course, George C. Scott is always, I mean, Exorcist 3, this, I mean, um, I'm drawing a blank. This is other, horror. I know he did a few other horror films, but great. That's great. Next one, I am a big fan of Ty West. I love his films. Um, and he's known for Now, X, Pearl, Maxine. But before he did those films, he did this little bare bones micro budget film that was great. And that's The Innkeepers. So this movie is set and takes place 99.9% of the time in one location, which is this inn. And this inn is essentially going out of business. And this is like the last weekend open before they close the doors for good. And there's these two people who work there who are working the last weekend until it closes. And they're both socially awkward. They're not really personable. They're not necessarily good at reading the room. They're kind of both awkward adults. And they play it really well. I mean, actors in this film are phenomenal. And the guy and the girl, and the guy's kind of into like paranormal, like investigations. Um, he's creating a website. That's his like new job, or his career plan is be like the head of this website that goes into like um paranormal hauntings and happenings. And turns out the end that they're closing, there's this paranormal story about this girl in a white dress, and you know her tragic life and backstory. And so they kind of start looking after it, and all these weird things are happening. One is actress of this show that the girl really loved, and she tries to introduce herself, and turns out she's like psychic and has ability to see stuff. And she gives us some like really troubling readings. And then this old guy comes, and he's like, I want to check in. They tell him, hey, listen, we're closing like by Monday. He's like, don't worry, I'll be gone by then. And he winds up committing suicide. And it's just a really, all these weird things are happening, and it all it leads to this explosive ending that is so good and so frightening. And those classic moments and and horror, and you the character be doing something and you scream, "Don't go in there! What are you doing?" That is this is that. There's a moment where a character is like looking down like this like basement, and you're looking at her like there's no way you're going down there. You're not about to do that. You're not even considering that right now. Yeah, she does. So, I mean, and then when she's down there, but the, it is slow, but it's so good, and there's some really good funny moments. Ty West has a good sense of humor, and I think a good sense on when to use it. But excuse me. So the Innkeepers, amazing film, well worth the watch. If you like, X, Pearl, Maxine, or any of those films, you're like, well, what else did Ty West do? This is one of his works before he did that. And finally, this is more of an eclectic film. It's not strictly horror. I would definitely say it is horror, but it's horror mixed with um, several other genres. Now, when I look at certain horror films, I look at, is it straight horror, like a straight shot? Or it's more like a cocktail, where it's definitely horror, but there's a lot of other ingredients that go into it as well. This would definitely count as something that is a mix of horror, definitely sci-fi, definitely comedy. Um, but and that is the masterpiece that is Attack the Block. Now, I feel like when this came out, it got a lot of buzz, and a lot of people were really like, "This film is amazing." But I feel like over the years, it's kind of been forgotten. Like it was a. I remember hearing about it when it came out. It came out what year? 2000 and what? I wish they made these things just a little bit easier to find. I'm not saying it needs to take up half the space on the disc, but just maybe make a tad bit easier. Anyway, I can't even I can't even find it. But whenever it did come out, whatever year that was, I remember everybody was talking about this film and how good it was, and how great it was, and rightfully so. This movie is a masterpiece. Um, but I think that over the years, it just hasn't been talked about well enough. But in case you don't know, so essentially, it's like this. Um, it's set in the UK, and like this um, inner city neighborhood, and these teens, kind of late teens. mm, Yeah, I would say late teens, not quite early 20s, maybe like between 17 and 19. And these kids are there, and they're kind of like a bunch of this tough and they find their way into a lot of trouble. Not necessarily bad kids, but just find themselves in a lot of trouble, like a lot of kids, when you're young and dumb, tend to do. Especially if you grow up in a tough neighborhood. So, um, this creature falls out of the sky. They pick it up and they take it, and they can't tell or figure out what the hell it is. But then other things start falling from the sky. There's an ocean of them, and these things are so unique. They're some of the most unique creature designs. They look like, imagine a completely black gorilla, like completely black, almost like a shadow, like a shadowy outline of a gorilla, but has a bright green mouth, and it's like a neon green almost. And that's what these things look like. And they start attacking these kids, and these kids grew up in a tough neighborhood, so they start fighting back. And just watching them fight, I mean, you can't help but cheer for them. You can't help but cheer for them and root for them and pump your fists in the air and go, hell yeah. It's such a fun movie. It's so great. The characterization is amazing. Every one of these characters is so well done. And to see them fight, to see them um, go and how just they're able to use their street smarts to fight these aliens is amazing. It's so much fun. It's so amazing. At times it has what's his name from Shaun of the Dead in there. So of course, I mean he's hilarious, and it's just such a fun, badass, crazy horror, sci-fi comedy, but I feel like none of those are ever overwhelming. If that makes any sense. Like it's science fiction, it's horror, it's comedy, but none of them seem to really be overbearing and overwhelm the other ingredients. It's the comedy is in the right spot. It's appropriate. Um, the science fiction part of it, which the explanation for why these gorilla alien things are going after them is so well constructed. So, slight spoiler alert. So, the little thing that I said they originally found, child, that's a female. And when they picked it up and took it over to like the friend's place to figure out what the hell it was, it had pheromones. And those pheromones essentially, upon picking it up, got all over them. So these creatures are just basically following these kids because they smell a female, a female in the species. Um, so, but dude, I mean, it is so cool, and the characters, like I said, so well written, and it's such a badass film, and it's so awesome. And of course, John Boyega's in this. I think his first, at least his first big film. He made other stuff before this. I think this is what really like put him on the map and helped get him the job for Star Wars. Whatever you think about those films, you know, aside, this movie helped land him that role of a Finn. So, but damn, and it's funny. His character and the Star Wars sequels is so different. His character in this movie is more the strong, silent type. Doesn't really talk too much, doesn't fuss. He's like a natural. Like these other kids look to him. He's a natural leader. It's just, and he plays that character so fucking well. This is such a great. I wish they would have made more. Maybe they will. I mean, hell, we're finally 20 years later, or close to it, getting a Leslie Vernon film. So who knows? Maybe they'll make another Attack a Block one day. But as it stands, those are my 5 movies this time. All great films, all deserve to be seen. Been very different. Sci-fi, horror comedy, ghosts, haunted, and a masterpiece of filmmaking. Maybe one of the best haunted house movies of all time. A flawed but fun werewolf movie, and finally just a horror crime film that is done by one of the great horror directors, and I have no problem calling Scott Derrickson that. I think he's earned that. Um, Exorcism, Emily Rose, Sinister, Black Phone. I mean, this guy is done some amazing films. But so that's it for the day. Anyone watching this has seen any of these films? Let me know what you thought about them, and if you plan on watching any of them. If one of them sounds like something that you may like, or one of them sounds like something that you think would be interesting, or like your type of film, check them out and start start a physical media collection. Sometimes you don't know where to start. Where do I even start? Hey, you got 5 films right here. Pick one of them and start somewhere. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, be safe.